Something is shifting in the American economy right now, and most people are completely asleep at the wheel. Tariffs are reshaping global trade, inflation refuses to fully die, household debt is climbing to levels we have never seen before, and a quiet wave of layoffs is picking up speed under the surface. If you think the worst is behind us, I genuinely believe you need to hear what I'm about to share with you today. Are you ready? Honestly, I have been watching economic trends for a while now, and this is one of those moments where I actually feel uneasy. Not panicked, but genuinely concerned, in a way that feels different from the usual noise. So let me walk you through exactly what is happening, why it matters to your daily life, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let's start with the thing that is quietly destroying the middle class right now. Prices are not coming down. I know you keep hearing that inflation is cooling, and technically that is true, but cooling inflation does not mean prices are falling. It just means they are rising a little slower. Groceries, rent, utilities, car insurance, everything you buy regularly is still more expensive than it was a few years ago. Meanwhile, wage growth has not kept pace with what everyday Americans are actually spending. So people feel financially squeezed even though the headline numbers look okay on paper. But wait, there's more. And then you look at housing, and it gets even more brutal. Mortgage rates sitting between 6 and 7% have essentially locked an entire generation out of home ownership. Monthly payments on an average home are dramatically higher than they were just 5 or 6 years ago. The median age for a first-time homebuyer has pushed all the way up to around 40 years old, which is genuinely historic. Young people who did everything right, saved money, built their credit, worked hard, still cannot afford to buy a home in most major markets. That is not a personal failure. That is a systemic problem. Do you think that's a problem too? Now layer on top of that the debt situation, and things start looking really alarming. Total American household debt has crossed $17.5 trillion. Credit card balances are at record highs. Auto loan delinquencies have not been this bad in roughly 2 decades. That means real people are falling behind on real payments every single month. And many households are so financially thin that an unexpected expense of just a few $100s could genuinely break them. That is how fragile things have gotten. And now, jobs. Companies have been cutting quietly for months. Tech firms have announced layoffs in the tens of thousands. Federal workforce reductions are adding to the pressure. Entry-level workers and recent graduates are feeling it hardest because companies freeze hiring at the bottom first. If you are currently employed and feeling stable, that is genuinely something to be grateful for right now, because a lot of people out there are not in that position. So why does this all feel like a crisis rather than just a rough patch? Because these problems are hitting simultaneously. High prices, high debt, high interest rates, and shakier job security all at once creates a pressure cooker situation. People are borrowing more to cover daily expenses, but borrowing costs more because rates are elevated. The math just does not work for a lot of households right now. Want to hear my prediction? Don't leave yet. Here is what I think could unfold from here. The most likely scenario is not some dramatic crash that happens overnight. It is a slow grind. Wages stay flat, prices stay elevated, more people quietly fall behind, and the economy kind of limps along without ever fully recovering its momentum. We could also see a prolonged housing freeze, where buyers and sellers both stay stuck, and inventory remains low because nobody wants to give up their locked-in low rate from a few years ago. And depending on how trade policy continues to evolve with ongoing tariff disputes, we could see additional inflationary pressure just when the Fed needs things to cool down. But here's the thing, none of this means you are helpless. Actually, the opposite is true. The people who come out ahead during rough economic cycles are not the lucky ones. They are the prepared ones. First thing you need to do is clean up your personal finances aggressively. Eliminate high-interest debt as fast as possible because carrying credit card balances at current rates is genuinely devastating to your net worth. Build at least a small emergency cushion. Even $1,000 set aside creates a buffer that prevents small problems from becoming catastrophic ones. Second, make yourself as difficult to replace at work as possible. Focus on skills that directly generate revenue or cut costs for your employer. Keep your network warm and your resume current before you ever need either of them. The worst time to start networking is after a layoff. Third, do not let market volatility scare you away from investing. Downturns are actually when long-term wealth gets built because you are buying assets at a discount. Keep it simple, invest consistently, and think in years, not weeks. Fourth, and this is the most powerful move you can make right now, find ways to grow your income. Expenses have a floor. Income has no ceiling. Whether that means negotiating a raise with solid evidence of your contributions, pursuing a strategic job change, or building a side income stream around a skill you already have. Every extra dollar of income you create gives you more options and more protection. Every downturn in American history has eventually given way to recovery, innovation, and new opportunity. The future belongs to people who stay calm, stay disciplined, and stay ready. Do not fear what is coming. Prepare for it right now. If this video helped you think differently about where things are headed, drop it a like, subscribe if you are new, and I will catch you in the next one.